Hey guys! So I've been working on creating this emergency supply kit. I'm not sure if you guys have had the opportunity to see the video that I put out. It was like a couple of months ago where I decorated for a 50th birthday party. And I'm not sure, maybe I was overwhelmed, because I decorated that event myself without the help of my son. Maybe I just had a lot of stuff on my brain, or maybe I was just rushing. I'm not sure what it was. But for that event, I ended up forgetting, some supplies that I really needed to decorate. I had to end up asking my client for scissors and cable ties and things that I needed. And it was really embarrassing for me because I don't want to have to ask my client for supplies. I, as the event decorator, right, and as the professional, I should be coming to events prepared, to decorate. I don't want to have to ask my clients, for their supplies. So what I did was I created this emergency kit, right? I'm going to show you what I have in here. But I created this emergency kit so that I could take this to all of my events. It's already prepared. I don't have to prepare one for each of my events. This is already ready to go. And then I don't have to worry, about being caught in a situation where I'm not prepared, okay? So what I'm gonna do is walk you through my emergency kit and all the supplies that I have in here so that if you wanna create your own emergency kit, you can see what I have and then build your own, okay? All right, so the first thing that I did when it came to my emergency kit was get a container. I wanted to make sure that I got a container that was big enough to hold all the supplies that I wanted to put in here. Now, you don't have to start off with a kit that's this big, right? You don't have to start off with this container. You can really pick and choose what items that you want to put in your emergency kit. Now let me back up because I don't think you can see this whole thing in the camera. This actually has 4 drawers in it, okay? So let me back up so you can see. All right. So hopefully you could still hear me. I have 2 bigger drawers on the bottom, and then I have 2 smaller drawers on the top, okay? I wanted to make sure that I had 2 of the bigger drawers on the bottom because the supplies would be a little bit bigger, right? So I needed something that had, bigger capacity, right? Something that was a little bit bigger on the bottom. And then these 2 drawers at the top just have the smaller supplies, okay? So I'm gonna walk you through it. But there's a bunch of different containers. I'm gonna come closer now. There's a bunch of different containers, that you could use. I got this right off of Amazon. Just pick something that works for you in your business, okay? So let me start walking you through what I have in my emergency kit. All right. Another thing that I just want to say about this container is that it does have wheels on the bottom of it. And I wanted to make sure, that I had something with wheels so that I can just pull it around my event and get what I need from it. I didn't want a container that I actually had to carry, right, with my hands. So I would definitely recommend that if you don't use this one, make sure you get a container that has some wheels on the bottom of it, okay? All right. So in my first drawer at the top, I have fishing line. Fishing line is like absolutely essential for my events because as you guys know, I do backdrops and I use fishing line to attach my signs to my backdrop, okay? So I have fishing line here. And don't worry, I'll put the links for all of my materials, everything that I have in my emergency kit. I'll make sure I give you the links so that you guys can order, whatever it is that you want to put in your kit. Next, I have some tape, right? You always want to have tape in your kit because you never know, what tape that you'll need. So I have some shipping tape right here, which is a heavier tape. And then I also have some Scotch tape, right? So sometimes you may not need a heavier tape. You'll need a lighter tape. So I have some Scotch tape in here. I also have pipe cleaners in my emergency kit. So if you don't do draping, you probably don't need pipe cleaners. I use pipe cleaners sometimes to help me with my curtains when I'm draping, just to hold the curtains so that I can get them in the design that I want them to be in, okay? So I have pipe cleaners. I also went and got some static solution because at one of my events, I had so much static in my decorations. So I want to try this out. This is just some static spray that I can spray to hopefully get rid of static, okay? I also, let's see, oh, I have Band-Aids in here, okay? I have cut myself at events, and you definitely do not want blood, right, to get all over your decorations because that's a hot mess. So you definitely want to have some Band-Aids that just in case you cut yourself, you can put those on, okay? I also have scissors. I always carry multiple scissors. I don't know what goes on at my events, but I feel like I always end up losing my scissors. So I have a few pairs of scissors in my emergency kit. Okay. I also have a phone charger. So because I'm always, recording YouTube videos, and then I also like to take pictures of my decorations and videos of my decorations so I can post. So I definitely always want to carry an extra phone charger with me to my events. Another thing that I have in my emergency kit is a wire cutter. So if you're dealing with flowers, right, and you're doing centerpieces, anything with florals, you want to make sure that you have a wire cutter so that you're able to cut your flowers, for your events. I just found another thing of scissors. All right, another thing that I have in here, hopefully you guys can see it, is a lighter. So if you're doing, food preparation, lighting candles, right? You want to make sure that you have a lighter in your emergency kit. And even when I go to decorate events, even if I'm not doing, any candles or anything, a lot of times, people will come to me and ask me for a lighter, like the caterer. I don't know why, but everybody always forgets a lighter when it comes to their events. So I just want to make sure that I have it in my kit just in case someone needs it. Another thing that I have in my kit are these rod connectors. So if you're going to be doing double draping, and you have an extra rod that you need to connect, these are, the connectors that you would use. So I put these in my kit because there was one time where I actually forgot them. And thank goodness the event was close to my house, but I had to drive all the way back to my house just to get these, right? So I have extra. So that's the reason why I put it in my kit, just in case I forget. And then last but not least, in this top drawer, I have extra business cards, right? So you want to make sure that you always have business cards. You want to leave business cards at your event, and you want to make sure you have extras, okay? So just in case I run out or I can't find my business cards, I'm going to leave some in my emergency kit just in case, right? Okay, so now I'm going to move on to my second drawer, all right? All right. So I have some extra boxwood leaves for my boxwood backdrop. That's my green grass wall. So if there's any like gaps in my backdrop, then I can use these leaves to fill it. All right. I also have some command hooks in here. Now you don't have to put as many as I did, right? You could just put a couple, but I also have these, when I'm hanging something at a client's event, I just want to make sure that I have command hooks. And these are the command hooks that you can use indoors, okay? I also have extra face masks. So I still wear masks, even though we don't have to. I still wear masks to set up my events. And then when I come back to clean up, I also wear a mask. So these are for me and my son, just in case we forget or just in case, one breaks while we're at our event. I also have paper clips. I ordered a big thing of paper clips from Amazon. I'm not too sure how I'll use them, but I figure it would be good to have in my kit, okay? I also have some zip ties in here. So here are some clear ones. These are 12-inch long. As you guys know, I use these when it comes to draping. You know, I use this when it comes to my backdrops, right? So I have these, and then I also have some heavy duty ones. So these are black heavy duty ones, and these just hold more weight, okay? So I like to use heavy duty zip ties when I have a heavy or a really big backdrop, right? Something that I need to hang or connect, and it's heavy, right? So I have these as well. And then I also have a bunch of safety pins. So I ordered this off of Amazon, and I have safety pins that are in a bunch of different sizes, okay? So as you guys know, I use safety pins when it comes to draping, and then also when it comes to hanging my signs, you know, or hanging a backdrop, attaching something. I use safety pins all the time. All right, so last but not least, I have these Swiffer sweeping cloths, right? It was hard for me to even get that out without stumbling over it. Swiffer dry sweeping cloths. So what I use these for is when I have dust and a lot of stuff on my balloons. Because as you guys know, right, sometimes with balloons, you know, they have a lot of static on them and they attract pretty much everything that's around them. So hair and dust, right? All these little particles, right, may stick to your balloons. So I use these dry sweeping cloths to just get that dirt and hair off of my balloons, okay? Now let's move on to the third drawer in my emergency kit, okay? So I have some gauze here. Like I said before, I have cut myself at an event. So you never know if you have a cut, like how deep it's gonna be, right? And you don't wanna have blood all over the place. So I put some gauze pads in here just in case I need it. So there are some first aid supplies, right, in my emergency kit. I also have some bug spray. Oh my gosh, when you are setting up outdoors, right, the bugs don't care that you have to set up within a certain period of time. And I know I hate bugs. I hate bugs and they're so annoying. So if I have to set up outdoors, I definitely want to have me some bug spray, you know, just in case I'm getting bit up, you know, and attacked. It always seems like I'm the first person, you know, to get a mosquito bite, you know, or something like that. Everybody else around me, you know, can be perfectly fine. The bugs are not bothering them, but the bugs always bother me, right? So that's the reason why I included some bug spray. Also in my kit, I have these hooks right here. So these are the hooks that you use for outdoor balloon garlands, okay? So I wanted to make sure that I had some of those in my kit. I also have some hand sanitizer, right? I am really big on, you know, hand sanitizer and mask. You know, I get it that the restrictions have been relaxed, you know, when it comes to COVID, but I still act like, you know, we still have those restrictions. So I made sure that I brought some hand sanitizer and put that in my kit. I also have some Lysol spray that I put in my emergency kit because I use this, you know, when I'm supplying cake stands and things like that, right? I want to make sure that those are fully disinfected before a client uses them at their event. And then also, you know, you could use this to spray down like your throne chair, you know, anything that someone is going to be using that needs to be disinfected first, right? Along with that, I put some Clorox wipes in my emergency kit because I use these wipes to wipe down my baby table, right? And my one table, all of my dessert tables that my clients use that they're going to be putting food on. I make sure that I disinfect it first. And then as well as, you know, my cake stands, right? So I put these in my emergency kit. This is some more hand sanitizer. And then let's see. Oh, I also put some binder clips, right? So these are binder clips. I put these in my emergency kit because some people use these, right, to attach their balloons to their backdrops. So especially with those, I think they're called Chiara, backdrops, those round wooden panels. People use these, right? So I plan on getting some of those in my inventory soon, right? So I have these in my emergency kit. All right, and then last but not least, I put a box of these in my emergency kit, and let me show you. These are clamps. So these are also, you see, I have these, but I've purchased a kit of these, like a box of these that are in a bunch of different sizes, right? So there's this size, and then there's also this size, and you could use these to attach things to backdrops as well, right? So I just want to make sure, because I'm always working with balloons, I'm always working with backdrops. I want to make sure I have the right supplies in my emergency supply kit that I need to be able to attach things, right? So I bought this set, and it has a bunch of different sizes in it, because you never know, right, what size you're going to need. All right, so let me show you what's in my last drawer, all the way at the bottom, okay? Hopefully you guys can see this and you can still hear me. All right. So in my last drawer, I also have some more boxwood leaves. I actually have 2 different boxwood backdrops, and the leaves are slightly different colors. So this is for my other boxwood backdrop. I also have my glue gun, okay? So I have my glue gun with some extra glue sticks. I love this glue gun. It has a base, right? I can charge it right at my events, and then it's cordless. So if I need to travel with it, I can do that, right? So I have my glue gun, and then I have extra glue sticks. I also have my glue dashes. So I love these. This is what I use to attach balloons, like foil balloons, the Mylar balloons. I use this to attach those balloons. And this holds up even when you're outdoors, okay? So I love this. I also have an extra balloon pump, all right? I have forgotten this one time, right? I was setting up this outdoor event with balloons, and I had to set up a lot of balloons, and I could not believe I forgot my small balloon pump, right? So I wanted to make sure I had this in my emergency kit. I also have an electric balloon pump in here, right? I have an extension cord, because sometimes, you never know where the outlet is going to be. So I have this extension cord here, but I'm thinking about getting one that's longer. So something that's about 40 or 50 feet long, because again, you never know where the outlet is, right? And if you need to blow up some extra balloons, I want to make sure I'm able to connect my electric balloon pump, okay? I have some 260s. I put some white 260s in my emergency kit because I use 260s so much, right? When it comes to my balloon garlands and my balloon decorations and my balloon backdrops. So I always want to make sure I have some extra 260s in my emergency kit. I also have these dryer sheets, right, in my emergency kit, because someone told me in one of my videos that these dryer sheets will help with static, right? So if my static spray doesn't work, then I'm gonna use these dryer sheets. So I have that in my emergency kit. And then let's see. Oh, last but not least, I have some gloves, right? So I have plastic disposable gloves, and this is what I'm gonna use anytime I'm setting up, my dessert table, anytime I'm setting up my cake stands, anytime I'm doing something that has something to do with food, right? I always wanna make sure that I'm wearing gloves. So I have those in my emergency kit too. All right, guys. So this is my emergency kit. As you can see, I have a lot of supplies in here. I'm not sure. I may end up adding even more supplies in here. If I do, I'll definitely let you know. Again, you can pick and choose, what supplies that you want to start off with in your emergency kit. And then make sure you're doing that based on your past experiences. As you can see, you know, a lot of these items in here, I put in here because I've had a past experience where I've needed one of these supplies, okay? So if there's anything that I missed, right, and you feel like should be in your emergency kit, by all means, please add it, right? Because you want to come to your events prepared for as much as you can possibly think of, right? You only have but so much time to set up, right? So when something comes up, an emergency comes up, you want to be able to act quickly. You want to be able to have what you need to address it and then move on, right? You guys know, I mean, that's what we struggle with. We struggle with time management. We struggle with, okay, how do we get as much as we can get done within the amount of setup time that the venue is giving us? So that's the reason why, you know, I created this emergency kit. I'm super excited. I'm going to keep this stored. Everything in here is going to be stored, you know, for all of my events. I'm going to make my son carry it. I'm going to make my son put this, you know, on the van or the truck for all of my events. But this is done, right? And I feel good now. I feel like I'm prepared. I'll make sure I put the links for all of this stuff, you know, somewhere where you guys can access it. I purchased most of this stuff off of Amazon, so it's very easy, you know, for you to purchase it for yourself. If you guys have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you in my next video.